Sir, there's a challenger to Bob Iger's supremacy at Disney. What's his power level? He doesn't have enough votes. Bob Iger's still in charge. This is such a stupid intro. But in case you didn't get the idea of what I'm actually talking about, there was a coup attempt of sorts today at Disney. There was a board vote, and it was a guy by the name of Nelson Peltz who tried to gain not ownership, but like control of Disney and leadership. And Bob Iger is still in charge. He's still the CEO of Disney, but this should definitely be a wake-up call to Disney that all is not well with the House of Mouse. Like, if the board are voting on potential, let's put that off to the side. If the board are voting on potential leadership coups, then this is definitely, let's put that off a bit further. This is definitely a massive wake-up call. I mean, for years we've saw Disney go down this path and people say, oh, Disney, go woke, go broke. I don't believe it's woke at all. I just think they're trying to appeal to too many masses. They're trying to make the Marvel movies too one-sided to one side, and then they're trying to play as the other, and then you get this incoherent vision. Star Wars is the same. It's like, it's not so much the woke aspects that I don't like about it, it's just that there is no coherent vision. And yes, for a long time, the direction of Disney has been called into question. And today we've seen a vote that obviously Bob Iger is still in charge of Disney. But make no mistakes, something needs to be corrected at Disney, because this is going to keep happening the more and more fan backlash happens to Disney and the more and more profits they could be making aren't being made. So this is what we're seeing today, and this is what we're seeing with the coup. Or I'm going to call it a coup because it is. They're trying to take leadership of the company. And I believe this was the right call because obviously we don't know these new people who are trying to gain ownership. Maybe they just want to liquidate everything. We do not know their intention. But everyone in charge at Disney, the Disney family, so on and so forth, have all chosen Bob Iger to continue leading. But that's the thing. We need leadership. And for so many years, with Disney in particular, we've seen a trend of movies coming out that are just put out for streaming or put out with the intent of streaming. And when they're still getting released in the cinemas, it's kind of hurting the box office to say, oh, it's just going to be on Disney Plus in 30 days, so why would we bother going to the cinemas? And also we have trends of like the MCU where they just released so much and oversaturated the market that nothing with Marvel feels important anymore. This year is the first time in years that I've actually felt some sort of anticipation for a Marvel property with Deadpool. And it's not even really part of the MCU. It's a Fox property that, yes, I'm a fan of the Fox properties, but it's like they're trying to attach it to the MCU now. Because honestly, if you've watched my Marvel Desperate for a Hit video, you'll know what I mean by like, they are desperate and they need something to hit. But this is the problem. We need a coherent leadership at the top, and Bob Iger has done great stuff with Disney before. Don't get me wrong, he is no fool. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to lead that company. The problem is that there are too many people around him trying to pull him in 50 different directions that I believe are coming into play with Disney and the state it's in. I mean, we talk about Disney Magic and Disney, the old school days of Disney and so on and so forth. But it's so often that we get pulled into question. Is it because of the leadership? Is it because it's went woke? Is it because whatever? I believe it's just they have approved too much. Back in the days, you'd still have a lot of things. Don't keep in mind Pocahontas. I don't think Pocahontas come out in 4K, but Pocahontas and The Lion King came out in like the same time span. Obviously, Lion King became legendary. People say Pocahontas became legendary too, but they are different movies, and obviously the more popular of the two is The Lion King. But imagine this. Imagine if Disney Plus was around in 95, 96. How many movies would they have commissioned in that time? It wouldn't just be Pocahontas and The Lion King. You probably would have had 50 other Disney movies on top of that. And this is the problem, oversaturation of the Disney brand. There's an old wrestling term saying, how can I miss you if you won't go away? With Marvel, they're kind of starting to understand this. This is why we're only getting one Marvel property this year, one Marvel movie. And I think that's what they've hinted at. I don't know if there's going to be a TV series in there, but it shows that they're understanding that there is trends saying that we can't keep up with all this stuff. The cinema goer does not want to go to the cinema 40 times a year to watch every single Marvel movie. And likewise, we don't want to. I mean, some people say, yeah, I want to watch every Disney property that's put out. Cool. Just make the shows good. So often we've seen this trend of push to just get it out. Just release anything, really. We just need something on Disney Plus. And that is a problem because look at Ant-Man. Well, that's not a TV series, but look at Ant-Man. The new Ant-Man, number 3. That you're telling me that the team that came up with Endgame and Infinity War and Iron Man and all this other stuff, they couldn't have done a better job on CGI and all this other stuff? They couldn't have done a better job on the script? It just shows me that creators are being rushed too much in that company. And they need time to build it. They need time to make it grow. They need time to write something that's satisfactory to the masses. Not just the Disney company, but the masses. Something that's going to sell. The reason why Guardians did so well was because James Gunn, the original visionary for where this franchise was originally going, was brought back in after the whole firing of what happened with him. Oh, trust me, Dave Bautista was the reason he's back. And that is so good because the stuff they cancelled him for wasn't really, I don't believe it was cancelable offenses. Like, there are people out there doing heinous things in the entertainment industry. James Gunn just put up some distasteful tweets from 10 years ago. I'm not even the same person I was 10 years ago. Like, come on. But yes, we got a really good movie from James Gunn, and now James Gunn is over at DC trying to lead trying to reimagine their new DC franchise with Warner Brothers. But the problem is that with Disney, they have so many properties that you know what, this is the thing. I've said it in my previous video, and I've said it a bunch of times. Disney needs to scrap the MCU. This was a great Fantastic Four movie, and I don't care what anyone says. I liked this Fantastic Four movie. But the problem is that they're not hitting. It was a hit, don't get me wrong, for the time it was a hit. But they need to really focus on building Fantastic Four, and especially Reed Richards, because he could be the new Iron Man in the new MCU. They need to focus in on something like that. And the reason that they don't is because they're trying to please too many people. They're trying to keep the MCU going on Disney+. Same thing's happening with Star Wars, where they've oversaturated Star Wars, and you could kind of say they've ruined the reputation of Star Wars as well because of what they did to that franchise in the sequel trilogy. But the problem is that there needs to be a clear leadership at the top. Bob Iger needs to be able to say to certain people, no, this is what we're doing. If you don't like it, then I'm the CEO and it is my call. He needs to be able to say to some people, no, we're doing this and I've delegated it to someone and we're going to do it next year. We're going to have a movie out one a year or something. Bring back the Disney magic. There was a reason why the Disney Vault existed back in the day. And newer, younger people will say, what's the Disney Vault? We'll put it this way. If you wanted to watch Snow White, let's pull Snow White off the shelf. If I can pull it out. It's really jammed in tight, but let's see if I can get it out of there. Let's say you wanted to watch Snow White. You couldn't, if you had the VHS, yes, you could watch this. If you had the physical copy, you could. But if you missed out on the, couple of months or a year that this was out in physical media, they would put it back in the vault and say, okay, we've released it for a year. If you missed out, that's all we're doing for now. We're locking it away, and you'll need to wait till the next release. And they did it with DVD. They put it back away after a certain period of time. Blu-ray, I believe they also did it with. And I believe they may also do it with 4K. I mean, Disney are out of 4K now, obviously, but they used to have the Disney Vault to put things into to keep the legacy of these films alive. And now it's just all on Disney Plus, accessible at a click. And I know what you're saying, but I want to watch Snow White and I want to watch it tonight. Well, look, if you're living in the digital age, you're at the behest of the studios, what they want you to see. If you want the movie, go out and buy physical media. But I don't want to get into physical media because this is about Disney. The studio should lock it away for a couple of, like a year, like put Snow White behind the Disney vault again and say, okay, release it for a limited span. Like, hey, there's 3 months where you can watch Snow White again with the family. This is the time to show your younger kids. This is the time to show them. Have a 6 month period, 3 to 6 months period where you can actually show, hey, Snow White's out for this 6 months on Disney Plus. Here you go. And then it's going back behind the Disney, it's going back into the vault on the 10th of April, whatever it is, 10th of April, 10th of May, 10th of June, whatever. But imagine how many views that will get because people will be like, oh, I want to show the kids Snow White. We need to watch it now. And people might just go out and buy a physical copy. But I know this idea that everything has to be accessible has ruined Disney. And it's ruined the whole industry in a way. Because, streaming isn't profitable. It is for Netflix because they figured out to put ads. It is for YouTube because they figured out how to put ads. But for the Disney Plus, for the Amazon, Amazon's profitable because they got the other business. They got the shopping business. And Prime is paired in with it. But for the average sort of, the normal sort of companies like the Disneys that don't focus on ads or anything, it's not profitable. They actually lose money. And the Disney company does not like to lose money. And this is why there was a coup attempt. So, look, this is a wake-up call to Bob Iger. This is a wake-up call to the industry. Stop rushing these things out for streaming. The old model worked. And they tore it down for streaming. That doesn't work. And I get it. People say streaming's the future. It is the future. I'm not arguing the point with you. The right here and now is the cinemas are still open and they need to delay these things by like 120 days or even 6 months like they used to with DVD. You'd see it out of the cinema and then when it ended its cinematic run, 3 to 6 months after that, you'd see it on a DVD. Go back to that. It'll make people want to go to the cinemas and see it. And especially when it's paired to something because Infinity War did so well and then people had time to go and watch that before Endgame came out. They had a full year to absorb that. But this is the thing. This idea that we need to rush titles out has really damaged the Disney brand. And having it all so accessible out of the vault at all times has also ruined the Disney brand. Like, don't get me wrong. I love that I have Snow White on my shelf. But the idea that, hey, it's no longer in the vault, you can just watch it any time on Disney Plus, it's ruined the Disney magic in a way. And I think Bob Iger really needs to look at how do they resurrect the Disney magic. And I think, look, I am no expert on Disney. But man, imagine if Disney, it'll be the comeback story. It'll be the biggest comeback story in tech and in entertainment. It'll be bigger than Apple coming back if Disney can somehow turn around a ship that was once great. It's still great to a lot of people. It's still nostalgia sells. But imagine if they put out a critically acclaimed movie next year that's completely original, like The Lion King in 95, 96, or whenever that came out. 94? When did The Lion King come out? If they can do that and come out with a Disney classic in 2024 or 2025, even 2026, if they can put out a Disney classic or something that you'd go back to year after year, that they would put in the vault because it's so legendary. If they can do that, watch the Disney company turn around. And everyone's saying they're just trying to sell to Apple at this point. Cool, they can sell to Apple and they'll be worth 3 times, 4 times as more if they get the template right. But right now, the lack of direction is hurting Disney. And that's all I've got to say about it. Like, I don't really want to rant on too long, but it is definitely, Disney's in a weird shape. And the coup attempt today that Bob Iger has won, he is still in charge. He needs to do some changes to that company. He needs to really be the CEO and he needs to hammer down and say, this is what we're doing. End of story. My leadership, we're doing this. Anyways, guys, if you like this, like, subscribe, drop a comment, notify. And yeah, let's read the power levels. I'm putting back on this. This is really cool.
Can you guess my power level? 530,000.
Good to know.